Good afternoon, Yu-Gi-Oh players and card collectors of all kinds. I promised I would come back and do a better version of the Punk deck video for you guys. I felt really bad about how depressed I was, and I shouldn't have forced that video the other night because I didn't really get to explain to you guys how awesome this deck is. So, first off, just before I get into too much of anything, I want to thank you guys for giving me a second chance if you're tuning into this. Um, if you watch it all the way through, I really appreciate it. So, I'm going to start with the extra deck, which is not what I usually do, but there's a reason for that. I've got my Psychic and Punisher, which is a pretty big, powerful dude, and my ultimate Axion Kicker, which I've been excited to actually play him, so I'm looking forward to a duel with this deck at some point in the near future. I've got a couple Hyper Psychic Blasters. They're okay. The issue is that you need a non-tuner Psychic monster, so it really only works in this deck. I've got a Psychic Life Tracer. She's pretty good for helping heal you. Psy Frame Lord Zeta. I've thrown in a Predaplant monster just because I have a few fusion monsters in here. They're easy enough to get out, and if I happen to have a dark monster, or my opponent does, you'll see later on that I have a way to get this guy onto the field. I have two of the Amazing Dragon. I thought I had three, but I don't seem to see where it went. Oh well. I have two of the Amazing Dragon. They're pretty good cards. I like the artwork, especially. And if it's synchro summon, then you can target up to target cards your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 psychic monsters you control or in your graveyard. Wow, that's pretty good. I've got 3 jam drives, so I definitely have 3 of something there. You need a psychic tuner for that one, which the punk cards happen to cover that in spades. I got 3 of the Rising Carp. The Rising Carp is basically in there just because it lets me access the Predaplant monster for 1 that I showed you earlier, and 2, it's got some pretty good moves as well. You contribute this fusion summon card to special summon 2 punk monsters with different names from your hand or deck, except for level 8 monsters in defense mode. So I mean, it helps you get the synchro monsters out easier too. I've got a virtual world Kyobi Shen. Man, that's hard to say. And a virtual world Beast Jiu, and then a virtual world Shell Jaja, just to cap off the extra deck. So next up, I've got a Super Poly and a Polymerization. So that's going to take care of my fusion monsters, and as I said, Super Poly will let me fusion summon from either field, so that'll let me get a dark monster if I want to, which is pretty good for the Predaplant monster in my deck. I've got Begone Knave, Forbidden Droplet, Narrow Pass is an excellent way to limit what my opponent can do once I've gotten a decent board. Mind Control, just because, it's psychic. And Card Destruction. Psychic Emperor is the boss monster of this deck. And when this card is normal special summon, you get 500 life points for each psychic type monster in your graveyard. So I mean, it's just a really good way to rejuvenate yourself. Especially when you're paying life points constantly for psychic type monsters like Psychic Snail, which costs 800 life points. Mind Mind Protector costs 500. He's a neat little guy. He's a tutor, and when it's removed from play, but special summon, you get to reveal 3 cards of your opponent's deck, which is pretty nice. You can remove one of those from play. Wind Up Juggler. Honestly, if I had more psychic monsters, I don't know if I would have Wind Up Juggler in this, but I don't have a lot of psychic monsters. Crebens. Doc Cranium. He's a funny looking guy. I've got a couple grapple blockers in here, and a couple Destructons. I've got the Silent Wizard. I'm pretty sure that's the one that it'll let me banish a monster that's in my graveyard, and then I'm pretty sure there's one in here that lets me bring it back. I might have already gone by it. I think it's... No, it's not Mindseeker. Might be a different card I'm thinking of. Anyways. Psychic Jumper and Armored Axion. Then I've got 2 Telepathic Powers, which is just great for a psychic deck. I've got 3 Psychic Psy Curses. So one recharges my life and the other one damages theirs. And then I've got a Psy Frame Accelerator, which, to be honest, I don't know if I have any Psy Frame monsters in there. So I think that's just a missed trap. I'm going to have to pick something else to put into the deck. I was just throwing in anything that was psychic originally, and I'm pretty sure I can come up with a better trap than that one. I've got 2 Emergency Teleports, a Future Glow, and a Psychokinesis. So a lot of good support for the psychic type. Now onto the punks. I'm running 3 of the Sharakusai. It's the level 3 tuner, and it helps with the fusion summon, because you can fusion summon a punk monster using him without having to actually use polymerization, which is nice. But it only works on a punk fusion monster, which is the unfortunate thing. I'm running 3 wagons so I can get my punk spells out easy enough for my deck. Another level 3 tuner. Deer Note's a level 5, but you can special summon it easy enough, so I'm running 3 of them. Then I'm running 3 Zeaman, another level 3 tuner. Again, psychic monsters always have a cost with their life points, so recharging your life points frequently is a benefit, which is why Psychic Emperor is definitely the boss of this deck. I'm running 2 of the Ogre Dance. I have a Madam Spider, and I have a Foxy Toon. Then I have 3 of the Field Spell, the Extreme Extreme Session, sorry. I have 2 copies of Wild Picking, 3 copies of Crash Beat, and 3 copies of the Trap. The way this deck really works, I find, is you get all the punks out as quickly as you possibly can, you fusion summon, you get your fusion monster, which is easy enough, and then you can tribute him to get different punk monsters and out of your decks that you can synchro summon into your bigger boss monsters. And the other thing is, one of the best cards definitely in this deck is Axion Kicker, sorry. And to get him out, you need to be able to have a psychic type synchro monster on the field that you can fusion with. So that's where it comes in handy to have 3 of the Dragon Drives, as well as a couple of the Psychic Blasters. for cannon fodder essentially to get him onto the field. Um, I hope that this deck profile will make up for what I made a mess of the first time for you guys. I'm going to go find a trap now to add to this deck. It's not going to be psychic related, unfortunately, but I'm sure I can find something decent enough to add in that will definitely give this some flavor. Anyways, I hope you do well. Take care, my friends. Love you all. Bye.